Welcome to another exciting season of The Bachelor American Dream Edition. I'm your host, Nick Carraway, the 100% unbiased observer, and I'm one of the few honest people that I've ever known. This special episode contains unique features like historical facts and character analysis, narrated by yours truly, to help you viewers retain the fullest experience. Buckle up, because this episode promises to be one of the most dramatic, tragic ones yet.
I'm the most eligible bachelor in the 1920s, and also the only person that made it from rags to riches, although how I made those riches isn't anyone's concern.
Gatsby represented everything for which I have an unaffected scorn, yet somehow there was something gorgeous about him, some heightened sensitivity to the promises of life. Though Gatsby outwardly exudes confidence and wealth, I see in him an undiminished idealism that may lead to his downfall. The vast impossibility of his American dream and its corruption by materialism has the potential to destroy his ambitions, but I guess we'll see. I come from the small Midwest town of Louisville, Kentucky, and I came out on the show to find some meaning and obtain true love in my materialistic East Egg life. Isn't love such a wonderful thing? I'm a nurse, not a photographer, but I can definitely picture us together. I wouldn't put all my faith into Daisy to make Gatsby happy. I wouldn't be too surprised if there was a more enticing contestant. Let's continue.
I come from the East Egg, which basically means I'm like friends with everyone. My favorite book is The Rise of the Colored Empires. I wonder if Gatsby's read that. My friends always told me not to judge a book by its cover, but I just met you and I'm already checking you out.
Oh my gosh, she got the name of the book wrong. Social status seems kind of stuck up and only interested in using our bachelor to make friends.
Hi, I'm Wealth. I love jazz, glamour, and most importantly, money. Choose me and you'll truly be able to achieve the 1920s American dream and live out the rest of your days in wealth and luxury. You must be dead because my interest in you is growing.
I know for a fact that Wealth isn't as glamorous as she claims to be. She's a bootlegger, which means she participates in the illegal traffic of alcohol imported from Mexico and Canada. All alcohol was banned through the 18th Amendment in the 1920s, but that didn't stop any of us from drinking. In fact, it could have made the drinking problems worse. Much of the new money crowd, like Wealth over here, get their money from organized crime. I, on the other hand, was born with social status.
Wealth's questionable means of advancing in society truly reflect the drastic deterioration of the American dream by materialism and money. All this illegal activity can never leave a person satisfied.
Isn't this place beautiful, Daisy?
It sure is. It's so relaxing here.
You really have a way with words. Daisy, I can't explain to you how extremely hard this decision will be. I never realized how much a nice girl can mean.
I'm the only one who can make your dreams come true.
Daisy's voice is indeed full of money. That was the inexhaustible charm that rose and fell with it. High in a white palace, the king's daughter, the golden girl. Daisy's siren-like tone of speaking and her distinctive defining quality, a singing compulsion that attracts men and promises wealth and wonderful things. To me, she seems like the perfect American dream.
As shown by this use of parallelism, Daisy embodies wealth and old money. Gatsby's pursuit of her parallels his impossible pursuit of the American dream. By comparing Daisy's voice to money, Gatsby reveals the true nature of his attraction to her. In a way, she represents a material object to be conquered, the golden girl shining at the pinnacle of his American dream. Perhaps Gatsby's love for her is actually all about him. When Gatsby gets the girl, he will have finally overcome the social mores that prevent him from entering the exclusive elite society. This once more proves that society's obsession with materialism is hindering individuals from truly achieving their dreams.
Just can't believe I'm falling into love so badly. Someone pinch me. It seems so surreal.
Really? You fall in love easily too? I'm glad we got to talk. I really feel a connection. Call me soon?
Is it really love, or does Gatsby want something else?
And so the two lovebirds chit-chatted until the break of dawn. To be extremely honest, I'm not really feeling this one. Do you guys believe in love at first sight? To Gatsby, Daisy seems to represent nothing more but the upper-class society that Gatsby desperately strives to join.
Wow, you're so good at tennis.
I've had a lot of free time recently, and I've been watching live tennis games and horse races. I may have picked up a thing or two.
I would really like you to teach me sometime, or take me out to watch a game. I've been hearing a lot of great things about this William Tilden.
Cringeworthy much? Well, isn't this date fitting? After all, the 1920s is the golden age of sports. Who wouldn't participate in tennis or baseball games? Maybe they'll meet Helen Wills. the budding tennis star who won a championship at age 17 on their next day. They could even meet Babe Ruth if Gatsby's willing to spend some extra bucks for some seats at the next Yankees game. Unfortunately, they won't be seeing any African-American players on the field anytime soon. Not that social status would want to. After all, her favorite book is The Rise of the Colored Empires. Yikes. Regardless, as proven by the rise of leisure activities like sports, rich people like us had a lot of time on our hands during this 1920s era.
This connects to the growth of consumerism and materialism, which increasingly began to define the American dream, leading to its corruption.
I really love your company. In the past, I spent my Saturday nights in New York. Those gleaming, dazzling parties are with me so vividly that I can still hear the music and the laughter, faint and incessant. Those parties were my favorite place to be. But now that I've gotten to know you better, with you is my favorite place to be.
Social status's use of glamorous diction, creating a nostalgic tone as she paints a picture of the gilded past. The words gleaming and dazzling describe Gatsby's extravagant parties and provides an example of how Gatsby relies on wealth to increase his social status. Instead of focusing on morals or ideologies, the American dream revolves mainly around accumulating wealth and trying in vain to strain for impossible goals, which, as I predict, might not turn out well for Gatsby.
By the way, well, what exactly does your family do to make all that money?
Who, us? Oh, we were born with all these riches.
Nope. All bootlegging.
Anyways, I've talked extensively about myself. I want to know more about you. What do you do in your free time?
Well, I'm sure you've heard about my glamorous parties. My blue gardens, men and girls come and went like moths among the whisperings and the champagne and the stars. A high tide in the afternoon, I watched my guests diving from the tower of my raft while two motorboats slit the waters of the Sound.
Parties? Oh, I adore parties. Believe me, as well, I'm a crucial part of the new American dream.
Well, I definitely want you to come to my next party, old sport, won't you?
Notice Gatsby's use of lush, affluent imagery to depict wealth and bliss, which contrasts with the corruption and emptiness that truly lies within the materialistic upper classes. Even the use of slit when describing the motorboats creates an unsettling picture that belies the decadence of Gatsby's parties. The word slit has disturbing, almost violent connotations, provoking an image of a blade slicing through skin rather than a motorboat zooming through the water. This once more reflects the meaninglessness that hid behind the upper classes' veneer of affluence, and the ultimate corruption of the American dream by materialism. Indeed, wealth and materialism seem to make up a lot of what Gatsby's looking for, but is that really a good thing?
First of all, I just want to say this decision hasn't been easy for me. All three of you represent something I've dedicated my entire life to get. But, Daisy, ever since I saw you step out of that limo, I noticed your hypnotic voice full of money, your radiating glow. I just knew you were a keeper. Although I've enjoyed my time with all three of you, Daisy, will you accept my final roses?
I do.
You know, I'm really glad I chose you, Daisy. It was a difficult choice, but there was something I saw in you. You fulfill my American dream.
I'm glad I do. I'm excited for a glamorous, materialistic future with you.
So, why don't we go buy a mansion in the West Egg, a fancy car, and hire some servants?
Where would we find the money for that?
Well, I was hoping you would pay for that.
Stop! Daisy!
He only cares about your wealth and what you represent. He doesn't actually care for you as a person.
Is this true? You care only about the idea of me? You only focus on my money and my social status?
Well,
I can't believe you. No wonder you said my voice was full of money.
it was hard to choose between you, social status, and wealth. I wanted all three of you. You all together fulfilled my American dream.
Well, you're not getting any of us in the end. Let's go, Daisy.
But in the end, his American dream became tainted and pointless by his obsession with social advancement and accumulating wealth. He had come a long way to this lawn, and his dream seemed so close that he could hardly fail to grasp it.
Gatsby's failure to achieve the American dream reinforces the motif of the green light in Gatsby's inability to grasp it. The intangibility of the green light connects to Americans and their hopeless optimism as they constantly strive in vain to achieve the unattainable American dream. So Nick, how does it feel like to be back on the set of The Bachelor?
It feels tragic, almost nostalgic. One night I went over and looked at the huge incoherent failure of a house once more. On the white steps, an obscene word stood out clearly, and I erased it. These forlorn image patterns emphasize Gatsby's diminishing importance and alienation. Materialism truly means nothing in the end. After all, despite Gatsby's optimistic strivings toward the American dream, his elaborate facade of wealth was ultimately stripped bare.
When you visited The Bachelor set for that one last time, what stood out to you the most?
Sometimes when I'm outside the mansion, I like to close my eyes and imagine that the inessential houses melt away until I become aware of the old island that flowered once for Dutch sailors' eyes. This personification evokes images of bursting new opportunities, reflecting the natural beauty and purity of our untainted world and dreams before it was corrupted by materialism. But with Gatsby, wealth, social status, and the rest of those hollow upper classes, it ultimately came down to their desire for money and their stubbornness to keep striving for unachievable goals.
So, Gatsby's motivations to pursuing all of these different women on The Bachelor weren't all about true love. Then what do you feel truly motivated him?
That's a really hard question. In many ways, I feel like all of them epitomize his desire for wealth, for conquest, for more. He thought he would be happy when he got the golden girl, but he never was, and he never would be. And as I sit here brooding on the old unknown world, I think of Gatsby's wonder when he first picked out the green light at the end of the dock. Again, this green light represents Gatsby's American dream, which became corrupted by his desire for wealth and his unrealistic strivings for the unattainable. His predicament mirrors the plight of Janie in a book by Zora Neale Hurston, Their Eyes Are Watching God. It's interesting to note that while Gatsby gazed at the green light from afar, never quite seeming to grasp it, Janie pulled the horizon, and thus her dreams, toward her, ultimately achieving them and achieving peace.
That truly is fascinating. It seems to reflect how different people approach their American dream with varying levels of success or failure. When the dream becomes corrupted by materialism, individuals like Gatsby lose sight of their main goals, but people like Janie actively work to make their dream come true. So moving on, what is the ultimate message you garnered from this episode of The Bachelor?
All of this becomes a criticism of the American dream's inevitable deterioration. Us humans keep optimistically striving towards idealistic goals, but are ultimately held back by our own materialistic desires and the sheer impossibility of our ambitions.
That's all for today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
That's a wrap. Just like in The Bachelor, the American dream has been corrupted by material wealth. Americans will stubbornly strive to reach their goals, but their efforts are fruitless. So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly against the past. As impossible and corrupted as the dream may be, Americans refuse to give up. Even when everything seems to be against our odds, we still fight back against that impossible current. And tomorrow we will run faster, stretch out our arms further. And one fine morning, though we metaphorically reach out to the green light and try in vain to achieve our goals, they never quite seem to be in our grasp. Nonetheless, we will pour our hearts into reaching the American dream like Gatsby rather than accept our defeat. Is this foolishness or optimism, blind naivety or hope? You can decide. Thank you for tuning in on this last episode of The Bachelor, American Dream Edition.